Hey guys, it's Graham with TutorialClarity, and in this lesson we'll be talking about how to code HTML tables into your web pages. HTML tables are very useful as well in HTML. And anyway, but I have another philosophical question for you guys to think about before we get started on this lesson. And basically it's this. Is there such a thing as worth in the universe outside of that which is prescribed by conscious life? Just something to think about. Anyway, in Dreamweaver, I have actually created a new document by going to File and New, and as always you can follow along in Notepad. Now I'm going to set the title up here to HTML tables, and we'll get started. You will also see up here during the lesson, I'm going to keep these comments here, but you will also see that I have all the elements of tables in here, and the ones that we're going to be using at least, and which is all of them. I'm not leaving anything out for you guys. And if you ever get lost, if you don't know what they mean or abbreviated, you know, you can actually look at them here. For example, TH equals table header, table data, TD, TR actually equals table row. So let's go ahead and get started with this. The first thing we're going to do to actually create a table is type left arrow, table, right arrow, come down a couple of spaces, gotta leave yourself room, and yeah, so the first thing we're going to do before we talk about table headers is we're just going to be dealing with table data and table rows. So basically a table row is almost self-explanatory. You know what a row is. It goes this way, horizontally, and it almost acts as like a line break, like a BR, but for tables. And it'll make a lot more sense when I can actually visually show you what I'm talking about. So first thing is let's create a table row. And like every other HTML element, we have to close it out. And everything that is inside this row, this horizontal row, is going to be the table data. And inside that table data is actually, you know, whatever you want to put inside that table data. That means images, paragraphs, links, you name it. It is absolutely up to you. So first thing here is we're going to create a TD, table data, and we're going to call this 1. And then we're going to create another TD, and we're going to call this 2. And another TD, and we're going to call this 3. And now, theoretically, since this is all inside I'm just going to space this out for you so you can see what's going on. Since this is all inside, my table data is all inside this table row, one table row, they should be lined up right next to each other horizontally and not vertically. If I wanted it to go vertically, I would have to add a line break, and in terms of tables, that is another table row. And we'll do that in a second. But if I come down here, you'll see there it is, 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you want to add a border to your table, it's as simple as coming up to the top of your table here and adding the border attribute. Border equals, and we'll have it a border of 1. So, by the way, you can modify this completely in CSS, and I highly encourage that once we get around to CSS tutorials. I will talk about all this good stuff. So, tables are really good to understand. Let's drop down, and I'm going to show you how table rows actually function. We're going to create another table row, and what we're going to do is we're just going to copy and paste this. It's just the concept that I want to show you. And you can see here, so it goes 1, 2, and 3. And Dreamweaver selected the ones that I have selected up here for me. And 1, 2, and 3. So basically, here's the table data element, and everything inside of it can be your content. In this case, I just have text 1, 2, and 3. You see this table data cell here? That is this table data, and so on and so forth. So basically, that is table data and table rows. Now, what if you want to have heads to these things? Headers, you know, titles for what the table is. You can actually type TR. We're going to start off on a table row because the table head itself has to be on a horizontal row. And I'm going to space this out appropriately. And then we have TH, the TH tag, for table header. And yeah, we're going to add a header in here. We'll call this header title 1. And we'll add another one. That's what we'll do. And we'll call this, oops, I'm sorry, th. Whoa, my typing is not too great. And we'll call this header title 2. And if I come down here, there it is. You can see header title 1 and header title 2. Now, what's the difference between a table header and table data? Generally, the stuff that goes inside the table header is formatted by HTML for just that, titles and things of that nature. But you can really put whatever you want in there, images that have fancy titles attached to them and things like that. But that's a different story. So now we need to go down another row, so we're going to create another table row. And here's the thing, we have two up here, count it, 2 header title 1 and header title 2, 2 header tags. So we're going to have 2 table datas, or table data tags, TD. And we'll call this data for title, we'll call this data for header title 1. So you can easily associate. And data for header title 2. And if I click down here, there you can see it, it automatically expands to the width appropriately for each table header and each table data. Very useful. And you'll notice here, just for the sake of things, I'm going to add an extra table data and you'll see what happens. You might be able to guess what happens, but we'll call this an error, and we should not have this many table data tags. It's fairly long, but you see what happens there. There's no table header attached to this because up here in this row we do not have an extra table header. But if I was to add, table header 3, header title 3, then there it is. You can see it's automatically centered and it acts as a header for everything that is down here. And yeah, if you wanted to go on, just create another row. It's pretty intuitional. You create another row, and we're just gonna copy and paste, excuse me, my spacing here. And if I come back down here, there you can see it just repeats down. We can copy this whole row and we can paste that again. And there you go. Now you got 1, 2, 3 rows, because you see here we have 3 rows. Now you might be saying, wait a second, Graham, we have 4 rows, but remember that first row that we created was for the titles themselves. So absolutely. And one more thing, just to restate, you can put whatever you want inside of these table data tags. You can put an image tag, image src equals your directory to some image, and it would display an image. But if I come down here, Dreamweaver's going to say I don't have an image there. That's because I don't have an image to attach to this right now. But you get the point, and you could put whatever you want inside these table data tags. You can put font style equals font family. Go back down to Arial. I love the Arial font. Font weight is we'll make it bold. And let's say font size, let's make this really big, something like, 26 pixels, and the color can be blue, and we'll choose something like that, and we'll close that off. And so now we have a font class. Now, by the way, in CSS, the benefit of CSS, which I will cover in future tutorials gladly, is that instead of having all this, you can just apply one class in CSS and type font class equals my class, and it would apply all that data previously. But we're not going to do that just yet. I'm just going to visually show you what's going on. We're applying a CSS style to this font tag, and we'll close the font, and then in here inside the font we'll say this is just showing what I'm talking about.